Today, we wire up a trailer. Well, if you're lucky enough like me, you got some decent neighbors who help you out while you're gone. When you get home, you like to do things for them, and this is a project I was going to do anyways, but I sold my trailer, so I borrowed my neighbor's trailer. Noticed he needed a whole wiring light kit, and nothing was working on it. Everything was broken, so I'm going to fix it for him. So let's get on with that. Trailer light wiring kits are all pretty rudimentary. This was about 30 bucks. I've used it for some other stuff and for some testing. If it looks familiar, it's got the two tail lights with turn signals and stop lights. It's got side marker lights. It's got enough wire with the plugs, and it's got a bracket to hold the license plate, and it should bolt up like that on the back of this. Now what I've noticed is that it's missing the bracket on this side, but it has the bracket on this side, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. Due to the fact this isn't my trailer, I'm probably going to have to ask the owner of the trailer what he wants me to do. I might be able just to weld in another bracket. I have all the stuff to do it, so maybe I'll just go that route, and we'll weld a piece of angle iron on there, and I'll be able to put the taillight on. Well, now I guess today I have to break out the welder. I found my goggles and got my little stick welder here. So let me show you what's going to happen. Because we're missing the mounting arm, I'm going to mount that on there for the tail light. We're going to have to weld this in. So I've got my goggles. I've got my little welder, my gloves, some rod. And I'm sure some of you are going to look at this and go, you're doing it wrong. And you'd be correct. So let's get this thing set up, and I'll get this little arm just tacked on there, and we can continue with the wiring. 110 welding is not the preferred way to do it, seriously. It's too temperamental. You really need the 240. You need a real setup. This is just a little home unit that plugs into the wall. It's very temperamental. You have to use particular rod, and if you don't have the surface cleaned just right, you're just not going to get anywhere. So let me do a little more cleaning, and we'll get this thing good. And those welds look like crap. The 110 is a really hard thing to weld with, and I'm not a welder. With proper equipment I can do a fair job, but this is probably the first thing I've welded in probably 10 years, and the last time I welded it was my parents' mailbox. And yeah, so, and I think I used that. So let's let this thing cool off and let's get to the wiring. Now for starters, this trailer's already wired. They have a little holder here, which is kind of cool. But it's already wired, and it goes through here and comes out a little hole in the bottom into here. And it comes out the back, splits out that, and then goes into the each individual light. I'm going to go ahead and hook up this wiring harness to see if it's still good. And if it's still good, we're going to use that. Why? Yeah, I could rerun new wires, but running it through that hole and all that, that's like that'll take a while. And it's grounded to the trailer. Now, the grounds on these, generally, they ground through the truck. They put a separate ground on there to ground the lights to the trailer, too. So I really don't want to upset that. I want to see how that works. If it doesn't work, then we'll run new wire. So let's hook up these lights, see if they work, and then we'll fire up the pickup truck, plug it into that, and test it out. Well, we've got the lights semi-permanently mounted up. Let me show you this. So I put the tail lights on. They're bolted up. I just needed a place to put them. Not the greatest thing, but this has got this bracket on this side, and there's no bracket on this. That was knocked off somewhere, so that little flange was about the best I can do, but they match for the most part, so let's hook it up and see what we can make happen. So I tested the wiring. I couldn't get it to work. It was worth a shot, so we're going to run new wires, and let me show you how we're going to do that. Tried and true method is this. Take the old wire, trim the end, tape the new wire onto the edge of the old wire here, and we're going to pull it very slowly, and we're going to bring it out this hole down here at the bottom. And so, if you see, it's coming up. So, we'll bring it out that hole, and then we'll do the other wire, and then we'll come down underneath, and once we get it all here, and we'll pull it out the bottom there, and then route it to each individual turn signal. Part of why we're doing this one at a time is you want to make sure nothing binds. So we're putting this wire over here, and then we're going to run this through here, and here in a minute we're going to run the green through, and then we'll get it out there, and then we'll pull it gently through the back. You've got to take it slow and just be patient and just run them through a couple wires at a time, because if you try to do it all at once, which you could, there's a really good chance it's going to bind, and then they might come apart. So if they come apart in there, you're going to have a big problem, because your feed line is already through and your new feed line is not. So you're going to have to figure out, and then that involves clothes hangers and a lot of cursing. So let's get the other line through and go from there. We're in the back here. We're just going to pull this until it starts to bind. Remember, don't cut any wires until, see, there it's starting to bind. Turns out it was binding on this little thing right here, so that's not a big deal. We can take that off, and then we'll just run the new wires through that little clip and pull it out the back. Now let's get out of here, and we'll do the other side. Now this right here is where a lot of people make their mistake. You want a little bit of play in this, but you don't want to cut those wires back there until you are absolutely 100% sure you have all the play you need. This is one-piece wiring right now. There's no breaks in it at all. So while there's a little bit extra here, you want to hook it up to your truck, and you want to have as much extra back there as you can, because we're going to be taking the excess off that end. You don't want to cut anything until you're absolutely 100% sure you've got every last inch of wire that you need, because it's easier to cut it off than to put it back on. Part of the problem I'm having getting these lights to work is these lights are internally grounded. They have to bolt up to the frame of the trailer, and the trailer's supposed to ground through the truck and blah blah blah. They really don't work all that well doing that. So what I've done is run an external ground from the lights through the trailer wiring, and it'll plug into the ground that's on the tongue and then plug into on the truck. So I've already done a preliminary, and it works, so we have to make it permanent now. What I did was I ran a separate ground. It's going through here. You can see the little loop, and then it goes through the back. You can see it come out. I ran it through this side so far. Get that slack out of there, up there. Blink. There we go. And so we're going to run it with the wiring over to this light, and then we will run a separate one for this light, and then we'll do all these connectors. But so that's what we're going to do now. So let's get this hooked up. We're going to have to put a little loop on here so we can screw it into the back, because that's how they ground. We'll get those loops put on, and then we'll get the wiring all tucked up and tied up and clamped and whatnot, and she'll be ready to go. And so with that, we got these working, so let's check the turn signals. Left works, and so does the right, and so do the brakes. Let's check the park lights. The park lights work too. That's amazing. I've got a problem with the plug-in on the truck, so it seems like the park lights never work on anything, but the fact they're working, I like that. One of the things I did to make this a little easier was this ground right here. See, there's two wires coming out here. I actually fed it through the loops to the other side. So this ground here runs up, comes across here through the loops, through the routing, then comes back here. So the only break in this ground is right here. This is one solid piece to the other light, and this is one solid piece all the way to the front. That was the best way I could think of at the moment. I mean, I could have got a little more intricate with it, but there's really no point. That right there was the best and easiest way I could figure. I mean, I'm already putting a crimp there, so why not just put an extension to the other? It's grounding is ground. And for what we're doing here, it's not going to cause a problem. If this was pushing a lot more amperage and watts and all that, we would run two separate grounds, and I would ground them to a much better spot. But do it like that, these lights are working. So that was the ground. But as you saw, the other stuff, I've heat shrinked, I've done everything properly. Shrinked all of these here, all the connections. I've put the shielding back on here. I've heat shrinked the, oh well, looks like that ground came off, so I'll have to fix that real quick. But I've grounded everything there and heat shrink those. That just irritates me. Nah, I can fix it. I can fix it real fast. And I heat shrunk and everything. Now, the only breaks in the wires are down here, so where we've connected them and heat shrunk them. So I guess I'll fix that ground real quick, and then she'll be good to go. That was a 5-minute fix, so let's get the trailer back over to the neighbors. Well, it's all done. The trailer's back at the neighbor's house. As you saw, there really wasn't a whole lot to it. The wiring was about $35, $40. The ones with the lights, you can get cheaper sets. You can get sets, if you have lights, you can get sets without lights. The instructions were very basic, and it's just really rudimentary electrics. And if you're unsure, get a friend, watch a YouTube video. You never know. And just
have some fun with it. It's really easy. I hope you like the video. We got some new projects coming here soon, and hopefully if the channel continues to grow, I'm going to get some more equipment, hopefully some better audio equipment. I am aware that some of the audio does suck. So now I'm going to clean out this spot, and we're going to work on getting another project in here, hopefully here soon. We got some things in the works. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel. I hope it's been helpful. Like I said, this really wasn't that hard. You could do it in an hour if you were in a real hurry and you did a complete hack job. Even more of a hacky job than me, you could have it done in 20 minutes, providing it's almost plug and play. But to do a really nice job with solder and all that and heat shrink, this took me a couple hours, and I took my time because, well, one, I was filming, and two, there wasn't really any real hurry for it. So I appreciate it. Please subscribe if you like the videos. We'll catch you next video. Thanks for watching.